everyone. So here we are discussing about the UK Parliament Week. Ready?
I'm ready, yes.
Okay, the first question. If you had the chance to speak in the UK Parliament for 1 minute, what issue would you raise first?
It would be to do with animals, making sure dogs have a proper license to ensure that they're healthy.
Alan, do you think young people should have a bigger role in political decision making? Why or why not?
Well, they certainly should because they obviously make up a large percentage of the population and they are the future. Um, my only worry is that are they being taught enough? Is there enough education regarding politics and Parliament in particular? Um, it's not exactly a talking point amongst 16, 17-year-olds, I'm sure, but so until that happens, I don't see how they can really get involved with any enthusiasm.
The next question is, what law would you introduce or change if you were a member of parliament? Wow, MP, Eric MP.
Yes, that's a horrifying thought if I was an MP. There's so many. The chamber is full of wonderful ideas, and 650 MPs, they probably have got half a dozen each. And I'm just trying to think one that I'd go for. It would probably be to help over 85-year-olds to live better.
For the Alan, I have question. Should voting be mandatory in UK? What's your opinion?
Oof, that's a difficult one, really. It is already in Australia, I think, isn't it? It is already in Australia, um, but it would be a massive shift, really, to introduce it into this country, I think. And there probably would be a lot of opposition. But there's so much apathy, isn't there, at the moment? If people were forced to vote, maybe that would solve that particular problem. But I think it would take a generation or two for it to be accepted.
How important is it for citizens to understand how parliament works, especially in Wales? What do you think about this, Eric?
Wales is governed by the Senate. It would be useful to know just how people work because you can get quite frustrated if you want to get hold of your MSP, is it, in Wales? They may take a while to answer because they got so much to do. Although now the Senate is going to be increased up to 90 members, I believe. 96. Whole voting system's wrong. We don't do proportional representation here, which it needs doing really in the UK and here. But yeah, the more people understand, the better things will work.
Do you think parliament should have more diversity in age, gender, and background?
I'm not totally sure what the present makeup is, but I think there is a feeling amongst the proletariat, as it were, that Westminster is a place for the elite as opposed to the common man. It isn't helped by the fact that so many members of Parliament are ex-Eton and Oxbridge and so on and so forth. But I think there is a movement. Certainly locally, our MP is very much of the same background as the people, and he's doing a lot of good work, and I think he is very much appreciated. And hopefully, he will be re-elected. This isn't a particularly political thing now, but as a person, I think he's very able, very likable, and from what I understand, he's quite ready to be contacted and so on.
One thing, do you think social media helps or harm political awareness among youth?
It all depends how it's used. Unfortunately, it's open to abuse a lot of the time. I'm personally not very keen on social media because of experiences I've had in the past, but it can be a force for good, but also for evil. It just needs.
Tell me one thing. What do you think about their new rules about asylum seekers?
It's such an intractable problem, isn't it? Obviously, we can't carry on as we are doing, accepting 20,000, 30,000 immigrants a year, um, and to house them and integrate them into society and so on. It's a virtually impossible task, I think. But as I say, I'm not totally au fait with the new rules, so I'm afraid I can't comment on that.
An intractable thing. If it's going to tear the country apart if we don't get it sorted, whoever tackles it always get hate mail and abuse. Uh, in theory, it'd be lovely to open our arms to everybody who's suffered, and most of these people who are trying to get asylum, they've been through hell, stuff that we wouldn't even like to consider, but we just don't seem to be set up to look after them and to find out in a speedy manner whether they really deserve the asylum or they're just not worthy. It is an enormous problem. We need to address it now.
We know that the digital violence exists, and on the social media, I believe that every person is accountable, whatever they are writing on comments or the speech. So, any comment on that would you like to say to the public?
Yes, I totally agree with you. For anybody watching today in Parliament, for example, and the sort of language that is now being used there, and it's obviously being reflected in social media as well, isn't it? It's really is disturbing. Why should politics be so confrontational? Obviously, they're going to have different points of view, but there are ways of expressing those points of view without being um, totally hateful, if you like.
Mm.
But social media is getting more and more of a problem. And in Australia, I believe they are now trying to exclude under 16s from using social media. But I was reading this morning that the under 16s are now getting together and suing the government for doing away with their freedom, etc., etc. So I'm glad I'm the age I am. But I see that the next 30, 40 years are going to be quite unpleasant, yes.
And AI is making it worse.
It is. When I look at Facebook, for example, some of the things are on there I used to believe, but now I'm convinced that 50% of what I see on Facebook is made up.
Yeah.
Also about the AI technology, so we have to be sure that this is the reality or this is just the assumption.
That's right, yeah. There are so many examples of scamming because on social media they use faces of well-known people, so-called experts in their fields, like Martin Lewis, for example, and even the Prime Minister. They've used his face to promote a particular scheme, which is then turns out to be a scam.